So a few years ago, we saw a resurgent neo-Nazi and white supremacist movement in Australia. So I launched a personal crusade to have the public displays of the Nazi swastika banned in Victoria.
So in the anti-vilification inquiry, banning the swastika was a key component to that inquiry. So that was really important for many of those people that gave evidence.
So there were a few messages in my testimony to the parliamentary committee. The first one was that a democracy is not just about the rights that we have, it's also about what we're willing to tolerate. The second message was that we had to send a very clear message to the hardcore bigots. The law is no longer on your side.
It was often debated about what other symbols should be involved. You know, there were many that came forward and told their stories of what their experience had been and what changes they wanted to see happen.
Sitting in the chamber and watching the debate filled me with pride. I have to admit that this was a long and faithful journey for me, and I did shed some tears of joy. On that day, sitting in the Parliament, watching the Victorian Parliament pass that bill.
It's always great to be on these committees and see that legislative change come from the work that you've done and from the community.
I think the whole process demonstrated in a very plain and clear way that community organizations, grassroots organizations, do have a voice and they do have a power to change perceptions. We really led the way, and again, I want to congratulate the government, the opposition, and every single member of the Victorian Parliament who voted with their conscience and did the righteous thing.
We undertook 4 inquiries this term: forced adoptions, anti-vilification, the support for older migrants and refugees, and of course the early childhood engagement, which were all really important to us. But I think the forced adoptions inquiry was something that was very emotional for everyone involved, you know, because we saw all these brave women step up and tell their story. And for some of those women, it was the first time they'd ever spoken to anyone about it. And I think probably one of the things for me was the fact that these women, their lives had been impacted completely.
Another mother told us, "I do not remember having her. I was in a ward." Sorry. I was in a ward, a dark room, and a man kept coming in, and every now and then he gave me needles up and down my spine. I think that is why I am frightened of needles now.
They saw the redress scheme as being an acknowledgement of what they had experienced. So to actually have that outcome is really significant. And I think also just that general acknowledgement that this happened was something that many of them expressed during the inquiry. We always had a focus on the regional communities, you know, in Geelong, Ballarat, Bendigo, Shepparton, you know, right across all the regions really. I think community involvement's really important because it gives people the sense that they do have a voice, and they certainly do through the committee processes. You get to hear all sides of different stories in relation to whatever the matter might be. We look at research from not only around Victoria and Australia but across the world. The people who have put submissions in or presented to the inquiry, they have that opportunity to have input into policy decisions, legislation changes in the Victorian Parliament. And, you know, where there are committees that are relevant to them, I think they should take every opportunity.